Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Cooldown Lap presented by Midwest Motorsports. This is episode 12, guys, coming at you live here on Monday night. Sorry for the couple minute here late start. We had a couple technical difficulties we were getting worked out, but we're here. So, bringing you on, of course, Anthony Castor, driver of the 8, and the general host here for the Cooldown Lap podcast. I'm joined with James.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I'm James J., commentator for Midwest Motorsports.
And we also have Justin with us. Yeah, I seen you switched your number up. It's gonna be different seeing that out on the track, man. Gotta say I'm gonna miss it. But man, we have a big podcast here tonight with all of the changes in the oval. We still have some road series stuff to go over, and a lot happened in the real life since the last podcast. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this week in motorsports. James, you want to go ahead and start us off?
No, I'm going to let Justin start us off, man. He's biting, chomping at the bit to talk about what all the action in this weekend. Go ahead, Justin. The first of many, I think. He's going to be incredible. He's brought McLaren a long way, I think, and I'm excited to see where he goes. I'm glad it happened in Miami. Kind of put Miami on the map. He's going to remember that one forever.
Oh man, it's I was watching it and everybody was talking about how this is a great setup for him, great setup. But then they were also like, man, we can't be saying things because we've seen him in a position before where he's had something happen and he'd lose that position. But it's good to see him win. Hopefully that's like his breakthrough moment and more wins come for him. He seems like a great guy and everything. I was just happy to see all the outpouring of support after he won the race.
We're talking about Lando. Justin, we're talking about Lando. I'm getting a message on the Twitch stream that says, can't hear your voice. They hear me and Anthony, but they can't hear JT. So I don't know if our technical glitches are still kind of biting us. Thanks for bearing with us, everybody, and thanks for the message. Doing things a little bit different tonight, and we're working on it. So thanks for your patience.
Hey, you got me now?
All right. The interweb's going to have to let us know if you hear you. I've always been able to hear you. All right, okay, good. Just giving a heads up.
Oh. All right, let's restart. My man Lando finally got his win.
Where were you watching, Justin? And did you have a party?
No. I was watching from my comfortable couch with the dogs and my wife. So it was good, man. It was just, I mean, the weekend as a Lando fan was a little crazy, because we had the sprint race. So, they're kind of forced into qualifying on different tires, which I liked. I thought that was a great. I like when F1 does implement that. They did it a couple times last year, and I think McLaren were really firing off well on the hard and the medium compound tires, and then when they made it to Q3, everybody had to run the softs, and it didn't look as promising. But yeah, I thought it was a really great race. I think Max did take some floor damage. If you remember, he hit that bollard at the chicane there.
Yeah.
So I think that did affect him. And then I think McLaren in the constructors was really poised for some good points with Piastri running really well until his contact with Sainz later on in the race that just kind of did him in. He had to come in for a complete wing change. So unfortunately, that did him in, but it was great that Lando was finally. It's been a long time coming, and McLaren, the second half of last season were on the rise, and it's good to see that they didn't start this season out like they did last year, where it was all for naught basically. So they carried the momentum, and they have a lot of big upgrades. So Lando had the upgrades for McLaren, and Piastri will be getting those for Imola coming up. So it could be really interesting at Imola as well.
Yeah, I think Piastri was doing really good, and the yellows kind of played to his favor. He had to go off of his original strategy. So I think McLaren had him covered either way. It's funny you mentioned the ball. Or did you hear Matt say that it was in the way, so he took it out on purpose?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was true or not. I was truth there. It sounds like a bunch of BS to me, but I also think it was very interesting that you mentioned about the upgrades, Justin, because if you saw Drive to Survive when I can't remember the principal's name now. Zach Brown was in the office. He was like having to tell the guys, listen, my job's at risk, we deserve better. We're supposed to be better. And we got some stuff coming up. It better work. If it doesn't, we'll be looking for a new manager or principal. And I think they're going to work, but we don't know until they do. And they did. And so it's really cool to see it play out,
Yeah, absolutely. And, Sergio Perez almost, completely just ending his tenure at Red Bull in the first corner, almost wiping Max out, and Sargent and Magnussen. I mean, Magnussen, I like him. I think he, offers a lot of entertainment value to the sport with his terms of driving, because he just doesn't care who is near him. He's going to race the hell out of them. Unfortunately, it was Sargent that fell victim at Miami. So, it might not be long till we see him being replaced. I think at Williams.
I agree. No, at Williams or at Haas? You think Sargent's going out? Well, I think both actually.
Yeah, but, potentially both.
Yeah, I think it was a little ambitious for Magnussen, but I thought they went too wide, and Magnussen gave Sargent room, and then I don't know if he was there, if he wasn't there. That's debatable, but it was a little ambitious. But I will say that it wasn't any more ambitious than Lewis Hamilton dive bombing into turn one and taking out Alonso and whatever that chaos they started up there that actually caused some of the chaos. I mean, I think Hamilton's sense of entitlement, I'm ready for him to go somewhere else too, to be honest.
Yeah, that was in the sprint race, and funny enough, no big penalty.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with it. But after the race, he got, I think, I don't remember if it was a grid penalty or a time penalty post race, but it was for speeding in the pits. And this is very interesting. Checo also got a speeding in the pits penalty. Now, everybody was complaining because Hamilton's time was ridiculous compared to the time penalty that Checo received. But it was actually almost like a tiered penalty, because if you look at the speed, the pit lane speed, and then the speed of Checo and the speed of Hamilton, Checo was like 0.8 of a mile an hour over, something minuscule, right? But he got like a 5-second. Hamilton was like 8 to 10 miles an hour over when he got caught. So of course it was everybody, trying to defend Lewis Hamilton, and he didn't deserve 20 seconds, and Checo only got, a 5-second. But I mean, Hamilton should have been penalized for, what happened in the sprint race, I think, but
yeah,
it is what it is. He's not going to get penalized.
Well, I know we got a lot of NASCAR fans in here too. Man, what a Darlington race. I love Darlington. That was one of the most exciting Darlington races I've seen in a long time. I was on the edge of my seat the whole race.
Yes, it was.
The paint schemes are awesome. I shouted out to Jason Phillips with the 77 car, had a police car look-alike that was like something about the Charlotte Fraternal Order Police that lost a couple of guys. So I thought that was pretty awesome. But did you have a favorite livery before we talk about the winner, Justin and Ant?
You already know it was that bad-looking Tom Supra Castrol throwback that Brad was running. I thought that was pretty slick. I was a little disappointed, I think, honestly, with some of the throwbacks. I mean, what the hell, Team Penske? Not one.
Not one.
I didn't notice.
They didn't run one. There was. I mean, what was it? Even half the field, or slightly half the field that had throwbacks in it?
I'd say about half. A lot of drivers were throwing back themselves, like in their sprint car or late model days. Like they'd throw a paint scheme on it they ran, or like I think one of the drivers, Briscoe, was running like his grandpa's paint scheme. So they weren't like your usual NASCAR paint schemes that you'd see in the Cup Series or Winston Cup Series from back in the day. But for me, I'd have to say Hendrick knocked it out of the park. Every one of their cars had a throwback paint scheme on it. That Kellogg's Hendrick car looked pretty sweet until he put it in the wall, and I was kind of fangirling over the Dale Jr. throwback Chase Elliott was running. The Jeff Gordon throwback for the 24, of course, and Jimmy Johnson for the 48. They all look good. I will give a extra kudo to Tyler Reddick for going beyond the paint scheme and throwing back to the mustache for Tim Richmond.
Brutal.
Yeah, although I'm pretty sure Buescher wanted to knock that mustache off him after the race. It was, I give him kudos for going that one extra step to try and summon the Tim Richmond out of him.
Buescher just realized that Reddick's only about 4'8". He couldn't hit him.
He gave him a little shove, but
We'll talk.
You hit it right on the head with the racing there, James. Darlington. Somebody posted in the group chat about how Darlington, they thought it was kind of like a more boring race to watch, whereas I felt like that track requires the drivers to actually drive, which is what we all want to see, and you get some of your best racing when it makes the competitors drive that car, and there isn't many passing lanes there, and when they do pass, it's pretty spectacular. So I thought it was a good race.
What's up with Martin Truex trying to go 3 wide? I don't know if you remember that one, but I forget who was on your side of him, but I thought the middle should have backed out to get you can't go 3 wide through there.
Byron dove it in there, and Blaney was on the fence.
That's right.
Yeah, Byron sent them 3 wide.
Yeah, but Truex could have seen it. I mean, should have seen it coming. I mean, he could have done a crossover like Buescher did. I mean, that was an awesome crossover at the end when Buescher went down on the sponsor logos down on the apron to pass them both. But, just let it happen in front of you and then cross them over on the exit. I thought Truex would have seen that coming, but.
Yeah, with those cameras and such, I don't think it got relayed to him fast enough that Byron. It seems like if somebody cuts you, because if you go back to the Kansas race, when Larson basically did that same move to Hamlin, if you're stuck in the middle, it just seems like your car just goes backwards way faster than anything else. So I don't think anybody communicated to him that Byron was going to leap him down there, and he just kind of stayed in it.
So you mentioned Buescher's crossover there, and that was probably what lap would like 15 to go?
Yeah, maybe something like that.
So if you remember, man, he was doing everything to get Boss Man in the victory lane. That shove that he gave Brad was awesome. And then he had the run. I mean, for sure, he couldn't have lifted out. He had to make the move, and I don't blame him for going for the win. But I think he wanted to probably try and give Brad one more shot to clear Reddick. But at the speed he was closing, he would have just demolished all three of their cars, I think.
I agree 100%.
He was closing in so fast. And like you said, he went damn near to the pit wall. And I'm like, the boy better come back up the track because he ain't going to make it in one or three, whichever end of the track they were on.
I mean, Brad was inside of Reddick, man, on that last restart, 6 laps maybe? They were side by side, and he was there, and then they were both going. It was just awesome racing on the banking, man.
Yeah, and I mean, if you every restart, Brad was pretty much running second, and he just got, as the leader, you're not going to take the bottom at, Darlington. But he just, I mean, it goes to show, like, how can you clear somebody, on equal tires and everything else, starting from the bottom like that. And as the restarts went on, he was getting better and better off of the line. It's just can't hold that momentum, and so I was pumped to finally see him break that long streak and finally put his car into victory lane as a driver and an owner. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Jack Roush finally in victory lane again, before he takes his graceful exit. But the other thing I wanted to mention was, I think we've had a bunch of Midwest Motorsports races that were like that, where even at Darlington, where there's 2 or 3 side by side for lap after lap after lap. I know I've called quite a few, so I'm expecting more of that as our Oval Series starts to kick in a couple of weeks.
I agree.
And throwbacks, the throwback paint schemes. I did a highlight video where it was about a 15-minute video for our throwback, and I highlighted several different throwbacks that were cool, and a lot of people wrote in on what they were throwing back to, and I got to read them all during the live stream, and then again on the highlight video. And I thought, our Midwest Motorsports guys probably do just as good a job as the Cup guys, if not better, at least better than Penske. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed that it wasn't. There were more of them out there, but it is what it is.
For sure. So I guess I'll wrap up this week in motorsports. If you guys don't have anything else, mine's kind of short and sweet here. But did you guys see? It might not happen this week, but did you see Dale Jr.'s Twitter post about the legit Gen 4 Cup cars being scanned into iRacing?
I think so.
I didn't see it. I saw somebody reposted it, and I read it.
Yep. So they're actually scanning in a legit Gen 4 Cup car. They aren't going to use the Arca Menards. So I'm interested in seeing what they scan. If they're going to scan the Chevy, the Ford, maybe the Dodge. And I want to see how that nose works with the super speedways, because I know that Arca Menards had a sharp nose, so you'd actually get underneath the car if you tried to bump them a little. So that's exciting for me. I always love to see the roster of vehicles grow, especially on the oval side. I keep my fingers crossed, and every day I'm waiting to see when they're going to scan that Garage 56 car in, because who doesn't want to race at night with headlights on with an oval car? I mean, come on. But that's what I got. I'm excited to see that stuff, and I'm always happy to see that the service is growing, because that just means that they're doing good. So
still want Euro trucks, but okay.
Just send it to Dale Jr. just every week, send him something. Just say, I want Euro trucks. Maybe he can make it happen.
I will see.
Are those the big 18-wheelers with the steam brakes? Is that what you're talking about?
Hell yeah, man. Wouldn't those be a
All right,
blast?
let's do it.
I want that so bad, man. I can't believe they don't have that yet.
Can you imagine driving from a perspective that high? Like driving from the roof.
No, but I want to find out.
Not just that, like the lean you get in that cab as you're going through corners and stuff. That you'd have to be on the edge all the time.
Be hella fun. Oh. Well, what do we got coming up league racing wise, James?
Well, I know Tuesday, man, we're going to Road Atlanta, the short version, for 60 minutes. That's going to be exciting. I know there's a lot of people signed up for it. If you haven't already, don't forget to do your race sign-in. I saw there were 2 hosted sessions tonight from Jason Phillips and CJ. So thanks to the Midwest Motorsports crew for looking out for your fellow GT4 drivers and setting up hosted races to get some practice in laps in and make it interesting for tomorrow. You coming, right, Justin?
I will be there.
All right, and to touch on Ant's earlier point about the number 2, we noticed that you've changed your GT4 car and your oval cars to number 2, and I will tell you that is a iRacing thing. We can blame it on. It's not Justin's fault that the number 00 is also tied to the pace car on iRacing. So if any of the broadcast team wants to point or drive with Jason or point the cameras at Justin's, I said Jason, I meant Justin's car, or ride in the cockpit with him and see where his brake points and shift points are, or how much slower he is on the straightaways than everybody else.
Thanks.
We can't do it if he's the 00. It'll go right to the pace car and Barney sitting on pit lane exit waiting for somebody to cause a full course caution on a road course, which doesn't happen. So thanks for being flexible enough to change your number. I'm gonna guess the number 2 is a Brad Keselowski throwback, but I could be wrong. Is there another significance to number 2?
I mean, that actually fits, but I don't know why. Honestly, I always thought Rusty Wallace was pretty cool when I was a young kid. I had a whole bunch of, little, the small cars, and I actually have remember the old school, like, shop, like, metal garbage cans, kind of like the tube looking. I actually have that still. That's my Rusty Wallace. And so I always thought Rusty was kind of cool. And so it's fitting. So I'll rock the 2. I'm good with it. I
was always jealous of Rusty Wallace's hair. I've had a receding hairline since I was like 25. So anyway, I'm no shame in Rusty Wallace, but yeah, the road series is going well, man. We're on we're past halfway. Brian Coxon and Jason Phillips are like less than 100 points apart for the championship, and anything can happen. We're going to try something a little bit different tomorrow night for the road course broadcast. So tune in. We're going to have some coaching going through a lap or 2 at Road Atlanta. It might be during qualifying and it might be during the stream, during the race itself. But Brian Coxon's helping me out with some qualifying track laps. So we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, that's it for the road series, unless there's anything else anybody wants to chat about road-wise.
No, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a great turnout. We have a great group. Everybody's pretty chill, laid back, and it's just been great to see the evolution of it, where we were when we started with the implementation of a road series, and how we've grown and everything else. So it's just been a lot of fun.
27 sign-ins so far, and only 6 not attendings. So I think there's some more people are going to sign in the last minute. Have you got any laps on the short Road Atlanta track, Justin?
It's been a minute. Kind of familiar with it. So I'll do most of my practicing tomorrow night before the race, and hopefully see how that fares for me. But it's a fun layout. So I'm looking forward to it.
Right on. Me too. That's going to be practice starts at 7:00 tomorrow night. The race is going to start about 7:25. So if you're doing anything or not doing anything, join us on the Rivenvale Twitch stream and join us for some road racing. Watch your fellow Midwest Motorsports drivers take the Road Atlanta track. I think we're going to get them into lap traffic pretty quick. Lap times are under a minute. So with 30 plus cars, I think you're going to be in lap traffic within 5 or 7 laps. So, and this past week, I do want to touch on the fun run, the mixed, what's it called? Combined class.
Mm-hmm.
GT3s and GT4s on the track together. I really appreciated and liked how the GT4s lagged back 2 or 3 corners. Was that something that race control talked about before the race, like a split start, or that just happened organically?
Yeah, we kind of just advised, hey, just give it a little bit of a gap, and that's not because, the GT4 drivers would catch, the GT3 guys that quickly. That's kind of just, I think it's a good best practice just to, give those guys a little bit of a space and let them kind of fan out. That way, if there was anything to happen, the GT4 drivers could more likely react to it and stuff. So it was great that they listened. And
yeah, it pays off because the GT4 cars will catch the back of the GT3 cars pretty quick.
So it was good. But no, we kind of advised that, hey, y'all should probably do this. Just lag back just that little bit, and I mean it's not going to hurt them at all. They're on a different race altogether. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, it was incredible. I saw IMSA do that at Laguna Seca, and they do it for all their races. But the GT cars start about 2 corners back from the prototypes and let the prototypes get through turn 1 at least, and then start up. So yeah, it was great.
Mm-hmm.
So that sums up the Road Series racing. It.
Are you guys in the backside of the Road Series schedule now?
Just past halfway.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting on the backside of it. Nice. Is any notable tracks on the second part of the schedule? Like is Bathurst still need to be ran?
Yeah,
right.
It's next Tuesday.
Oh, next Tuesday.
Yeah, and it's one of our endurance races.
Oh man,
you better stay awake, James.
Yep, 2 pit stops, hour and 40 minutes, so 100 minutes in Bathurst, and that's going to be after the Road Atlanta week, and then Sebring, Monza, and wrapping it up at Chicago street course. So, yeah, Mount Panorama endurance, and you better bring your patience. We did Mount Panorama last year in the last season, the GT4s, and it was a pretty exciting race. I was expecting to see more carnage, and everybody seemed to mind their P's and Q's. It was great.
Yeah, I remember watching that one. There's only a couple instances where somebody'd spin going down the hill, but it was amazing how clean that race was for the most part. So we'll see if they can keep that going. So with the Road Series wrapped up, you guys want to go ahead and get an oval here?
Yeah. Let's do it.
What about the oval?
Oh well, a new season starting. It is upon us. This upcoming weekend we start the duels. So we'll be making I'll be making an announcement for everybody just so you guys know. Something we talked about, since the duels are a non-sanctioned points race, we're going to award a point for pole to the winner for the duel race. So whoever comes out of the duels as the winner has a 1-point lead on the rest of the field. So that's 1 point closer to the championship. Do you guys just want to hop into kind of some of the rule changes, or do you guys want to go to schedule first?
Well, I want to talk about the duels first. So the duels in the real world, duel A sets the inside row and duel B sets the outside row, or something like that, right? So What are the duels? How does the duels I think I know how they play out, but I'd rather let you explain how the duels play into the Daytona race.
Yeah, so the duels, we've been running these for a couple seasons, and the best way we found to run them is we run it like a traditional race. So I believe Trucks is a 30-lap race, and the Cup Series is a 40-lap race. There's no points awarded. We aren't going to throw a competition caution in it. It's just going to run. You guys can have your natural cautions, but it's just going to be a regular race. And the field is set by the finishing order of the duels. So whoever finishes first is on the pole. Whoever finishes second, and so on down through the field. Your incidents, so if you guys accrue incidents, it's not going to count in that race. It's not going to count for the Daytona race. But once you start the Daytona, that is an official race. So we do start counting your incidents then. But duels are just an exhibition race to set the starting order for the Daytona starter.
So it's kind of like a meet and greet, get to know your neighbors kind of race.
Exactly. You get 40 laps or 30 laps, depending on your series, to kind of feel out the other people you're running with. So you get a good idea who you can draft with, who you can't draft with, who's going to be all shaky in the draft that you don't want to be trying to push. So it's a great time to kind of mess around and see who you can work with and who you can't. And then towards the end of that race, you can push yourself to go and try and get pole or get better starting position. Or lay back to start from the back of the field. So it's all dependent on what kind of strategy you want to go into Daytona with.
So just straight up finishing order lines the field for the next week season's opener at Daytona.
That's correct.
Yep.
So, and who do you not want to push into the Cup Series? You want to push or you don't want to push? Want to call anybody out? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
So normally I link up to either Dustin, JT, or John. Otherwise, I try not to push people. I can't really throw names out because we don't run super speedways enough to know who it is. But if I get behind you and I see the ass end of your cars doing the Texas two-step down the backstretch, that's normally a guy I don't want to push. I'd rather you go in a straight line or try to be as straight as possible. Which I know it can be hard to do. I know there's times where, like, if I don't set my steering ratio correctly, or if I go into the race and I don't touch something on my steering, it does get a little squirrely in the draft. But there's some guys where they aren't even in the draft and they're just left, right, and it's like, yeah, I ain't pushing him, just gonna pass him. So I will tell you though, I'll try and work with. I know JT's pretty good at keeping a straight line. Eric's good at keeping a straight line. Huffman's good at keeping a straight line. Notice I didn't say which one.
Aaron Holroyd's pretty good too. I mean,
Yeah,
he held
Aaron,
it down at Talladega last season.
Yeah, Aaron almost pushed me to a win at Talladega, setting us up for the tightest finish in the Midwest Motorsports Series. So
he won the truck season opener at Daytona last year. He won Daytona last year, if I remember correctly. That's how me and Aaron started talking. Actually, was in the victory interview. He started the season off in the trucks with the win. I'm pretty sure. Let me look at Sim Racer Hub right quick, but
he snuck a win in somewhere. I don't remember.
Anyway, but yeah, I will say from what I remember, especially in the trucks, they work a lot better 2 wide. I know it's tempting to go 3 wide with all the room and you think it's all great. But as much moving around as they do, I remember every time the trucks tried to go 3 wide at Daytona, it didn't last very long. So that's my 2 cents from the outside looking in to save caution laps and pacing laps. Try to stick 2 wide if you're trapped in the middle. Look for a spot or drop to the back and try to work your way back up because 3 wide is going to end up somebody's going to be in the wall. And I'm not sure what the rule is for fast repairs this season, or if that's changed, or what the rules are for tires or anything like that. We haven't got into that yet, but yeah, I would definitely strongly suggest 2 wide, not 3 wide, for all you guys listening.
Hey, Anthony, since we're talking about a super speedway race and drafting and I guess level of aggression, what format changes may, I guess, change the way drivers have a level of aggression at some of these super speedways?
Are you talking like whenever we go to Daytona or Talladega and you got people beating and banging the heck out of each other?
Yeah, I mean, like say you know a caution's going to drop at lap 18. Do you really need to be driving like lap 17 is the last lap of the whole race?
No. So we're gonna kind of get ahead of ourselves a little bit here, but we do have a couple changes this season with dropping stages. So you guys, these are long races. I get it with super speedways. It's great to be up front at times until somebody gives you a bad bump. But there's no reason to be out there driving super aggressively on lap 15 out of a 70 lap race or lap 20 out of a 70 lap race. Those last 10, 15 laps, sure, put the pedal to the metal and give the guy in front of you a couple good nudges. But we did change it up. We don't have the stages anymore. We are implementing a competition caution for each race, just to kind of re-rack the field once. Let everybody get their legs underneath them at the start of the race, re-rack the field once, and then go back to racing. But there's no reason to be racing super aggressively unless you want to be at the front, which, again, with these super speedways, you have that outside line pushing somebody past you normally, so it's... I mean, you can get up there. Normally, when I race it, I just want to be kind of in a groove and pushing somebody for most of the race. But yeah, the aggression should go down some this season since we aren't issuing out points at stages or anything like that. So it should lead to cleaner racing. It should lead to more green flag runs, which would be great to see. Which we have another rule change that I'll go over here in a little bit to encourage more green flag runs. So we'll get into that here shortly. But yeah, we have made some changes, JT, to try and reduce the amount of aggression people want to put into the race to shoot towards the front to try and get stage points and such.
Mm-hmm. Patience really does pay off. I have a question about the yellows. You mentioned the competition caution. You want to talk me through the procedure on that? Like, are we going to know, even from a broadcaster point of view, is that something you're going to announce like the day of the race, or is that going to be announced in the drivers meeting as we're girding up, or when are we going to know when the competition comes out, or is it something that race control is going to spin the bingo ball?
Oh man! So yeah, part of me did think just to be like, hey Josh, just pick a random lap, any lap you want to, and just throw yellow. But I figured we'll be transparent with it. That way nobody's thinking like, oh, well, race control knows, so the admins have to know. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the competition caution at a set lap. And in each pre-race driver meeting, much like we've done the stages, Josh is going to announce what lap the competition caution is taking place on. So it's important, guys, make it to those drivers' meetings so you guys can hear this and know when this stuff's going to happen.
I love the idea. And I actually like mentioning it after practice, after everybody knows or doesn't know, what kind of, how to save their tires, or if you know what lap the caution is going to come on, your tires are starting to slack, but a caution's coming up. If you know that way ahead of time, you can try to figure out if it's better to ride it out or to come in and get new stickers. So I kind of like the idea of not announcing it even before the drivers meeting after qualifying. I think that's really smart and keeps it level for everybody. And so that way, if you don't have time to practice or figure out a strategy, you got to make it up on the fly. So I have a lot of that's another thing to be excited for. Another thing to me to talk about during the broadcast.
Yeah, so we do have the schedule file. All the guys can look at. Currently, I believe season 6 schedule's up. Season 7's going to be put up if it isn't already, but we will have the competition caution laps in that Excel file as well. So all the drivers, even race control, can go into and look at that so they can see it as well. So it's not a big deal.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, cool.
But I want to go back to that competition caution thing because there's one thing that I feel is really cool. We haven't thrown cautions on road courses. And it's something that we wanted to stay away from because it takes so long to pace around these road courses. It can take anywhere from 2 minutes to 4 minutes depending on the track for one lap. So during our admin meetings, kind of going over some of the things we want to try, we were like, okay, we're going to try throwing Josh out there at a pace car and see how fast we can do a pace lap, just so we can try and re-rack the field. How fast we can do a pace lap while keeping our pace up to a point where we're not going too fast to where people are overdriving corners under caution, but we're still getting a pace lap in less than 2 minutes or a minute and a half, depending on the track. So, Josh and I did some testing at Watkins Glen and Sonoma. Let me tell you what, man. We got that down to a science now. He knows when exactly he can fire out that pit and pick up the leader, how fast he can go through those corners, and how fast the cup car or truck can follow him through those corners without losing control of their truck or car. So I'm really excited to see this because it'll be something new for us. And if it goes well, maybe we can try it out some more with more road course races and try some different things with it because it's a neat concept. I've always felt that iRacing should make it to where race control can just take over the pace car and whenever the caution comes out, race control has it. We don't need the AI out there ice skating the pace car through the corners to pick up the field. So this is something we're trying on the road course side. We're going to explain everything during the driver meetings, so make sure you guys are there so you can listen and know what the process is whenever Josh announces, hey, competition caution, pace car out, picking up the leader, reduce your race speed to this. And then when he pulls into the pits, he's going to say, all right, leader, restarts on the leader, maintain pace speed until you get to the restart area that he designates, and then you guys take off. Like I said, he's got it down to a science now, and I'm excited to see it happen. And I'm hoping that we get a lot of positive feedback from the group and how it works, and I hope everybody enjoys it, and it's something we can do in the future.
Josh did pretty good in that GT3 AMG Mercedes at Watkins Glen during the fun run, so I'm sure he'll be just fine. It probably has to pull back the range just a little bit on that GT3 car, but not too much. Allows you to keep your tire temp up and not doing so much pacing, and still allows a pit cycle to happen if they want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
through, right?
I tell you what, I thought of everything. I tried pitting. I was like, Josh, you maintain your speed. I'm gonna dip off of you, and I'm gonna pit before you even take off. And I was trying it, and I can see where the strategy can be there. It's a risk, but I mean, you could also be rewarded by it. I think you come out like almost 15 to 20 seconds behind the field, restarting the race. But again, it's a risk and reward. I mean, you kind of pit ahead of everybody else, but then you're at a deficit. Do you want to run that deficit and have them run their race until they have to pit, and then you leapfrog them? So there's some more strategy things added to this. I think we're going to see a lot of people trying different things that first race, which I believe is Sonoma. And I think it's going to shake a lot of stuff up.
I'm all about it.
Yep.
Let's do it. Yes, the first road course is Sonoma, June 28th, race number 6.
So I'm just going to jump into some of the changes we made on the oval side, rule-wise, and then we'll kind of touch on the schedule and kind of why the schedule is the way it is. So, IR limits, truck series, we raised you guys. I believe you guys were at 17 or 2. No, I think you guys were at like 2,000. Was the maximum last season. We raised you up to 2,750, which is tied with what Xfinity was, since Xfinity is removed as a series. So, truck guys that were getting their IR up in the season or sweating last season, you guys can go a little bit further now with your IR ratings. So, B license is required for you guys, or an admin can make the determination on whether the driver can join or not. So, Cup Series, you guys staying the same, 3,500 B license. Admin discretion on any new members that want to jump straight to Cup. Aside from that, fast repairs was something you talked about a little bit, James, there at the beginning. Trucks, you guys getting dropped down to 1 from 2. So going back to that, kind of trying to keep your cool and not trying to fly through the field or doing those risky moves. You only have 1 fast repair to play with now, so bear that in mind.
Very interesting.
Yep.
Choose wisely.
Yeah, choose wisely. So we had the IPL limit, I want to say, for the last 2 or 3 seasons. We're trying something different with the summer series here. So what we're doing is we're implementing a flat limit per race. So instead of doing a 4 race run and then we do a review and then you're on it until you get off of it, we're just going to do it based on race by race. So both series, trucks and cup, you have 12 incidents in a race. Once you pass them 12 incidents, you're getting an EOL for the next race. You're barred from qualifying, and we'll tell you that during the next race as well, that you can't qualify. But you get an EOL for that next race. After that race, say that race you don't get 12 incidents, say you get 8, nothing happens to you. You go into the next race, you can qualify, you're scot-free. But for every race you accrue that 12 incidents for the following race, you're getting that EOL. So it's a race per race penalty instead of a review period penalty. The question came up in Discord earlier. I noticed it wasn't in the rulebook, so I added it. I'm going to put that in the announcements. All ties with the incidents are going to be decided by finishing position in the race. So if you have a 12X and somebody else has a 12X, whoever finishes ahead of that other person, your EOL is going to go above that next person in that race. So that's how we'll set the order for the next race, is based off of highest incident down, then tiebreaker by position. Another rule we implemented, we're trying to see if we can get some green flag runs generated. I know in the cup side, green flags were abundant. JT, you can probably speak to that, and James, I know you broadcasted those races. Cup side, we had tons of green flag runs, which made it great because we were doing green flag pits, we were doing some strategy. You have to watch your tires. They were comer and goers. Trucks. JT, James, you guys have to speak to this. I didn't get to run in it, but I did see the truck chat, and it seemed like there were quite a few races in the beginning, middle part of the season where there was more cautions than there was green.
Yeah, it's fair.
So, yeah, James, would you say so?
Oh yeah, definitely. But I mean, there's several reasons for that. I think the shorter races and the shorter stages might play into that. And then again, everybody racing for the top 5 at the stages stepped up the aggression for everybody. And under 2K IR and people learning each other, learning the trucks, learning the tracks, having fun on a Friday night after working all week. Sometimes you're not thinking as clearly as you like to be. So, we had a couple races with over 15 cautions last season. I don't think that's going to happen this season with the rule changes, especially with 2 fast repairs. There's no real reason to risk it. Now you got to decide if it's really worth taking that chance to pass somebody for 18th, or if you got 2 fast repairs, you can just send it and try to slide job it if it works. It doesn't, you just fast repair and go on back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so something we're implementing to try and generate some green flag runs is I called it the clean starts rule. So on our oval tracks, if you cause a wreck or an accident within 5 laps of a start or restart, you're getting a pit lane start for the next race. You can't qualify.
Oh.
Yeah, so pit lane start, field's going to come around, they're going to take the green, and you're going to be starting from your pit box. And that's within 5 laps of any start or restart. So say we get a yellow, we want 5 green flag laps before, somebody causes another accident. The 5 laps should give us enough time for people to kind of spread out a little. So you aren't running over each other, and then that should generate green flag runs.
Yeah, I mean, our goal here is to let the race develop,
Mm-hmm.
Not just either door banging or just shoving people through a corner on the, into one right on a restart. So,
yeah, because the last thing anybody wants to do is take off from a yellow just to get the yellow flag in turn 2, and then pace another 3 or 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, I mean, letting the race develop and not having just a pacing night and promoting that clean racing, that's what we're trying to do here. It's not to necessarily penalize anybody individually. But if you let the race develop and you run your race, it's going to add a lot more to some of the new drivers to get that experience. And it's just going to help, I think, the quality of the league and the racing itself become what we envision.
Yeah,
it's more fun for everybody. It's a better
100%.
It's a better league experience when you're out there cranking out racing laps instead of pacing laps. So I'm all about it.
I mean,
yeah.
To your point, James, it's a Friday night. You get home from work. You want to just have some fun. Well, getting into a race at 9:30 on Eastern time and pacing for half the race isn't fun.
Yeah, I do see one comment saying that it's a lot. 5 laps is a lot for super speedway tracks, but in all honesty, if you're running a 73 or 81 lap race in super speedway, which I believe we're actually running more than that, that's still 5 laps out of that to generate a green flag run. Ain't too bad. That's not that long, especially if you're going into it and you're just drafting those first 5 laps, kind of getting yourself set up, trying to figure out where you can't run, who you can run with, where the lines are moving. I think 5 laps is fine. I know a question was raised earlier. Somebody was perusing the rule book. It might have been McLaughlin, maybe, was asking how it was determined. Like, if say somebody gets into an incident in those first 5 laps, how's it determined like who's getting the pit lane start? But that's something. Every incident, you should be able to see who causes it, who's driving into the corner too hard, runs up into somebody and starts the wreck. I mean, so for example, Phoenix. I came out of that corner thinking I could have gassed up and everything, and ended up putting my nose right into the corner of Dustin. And I mean, that was me. That was me all day. Anybody watching that race knows I gassed up too soon and got into him. So I'd be the one receiving that penalty, because I mean that's straightforward. If there was ever an instance though where it was so hard that you couldn't really tell, that's something we'll ship off to the stewards and have them review it and look through it.
Yeah, and it didn't say no racing or no passing. It just said no wrecking in the first 5 laps. So it doesn't mean you can't race or can't, when it's green, go racing, just don't go wrecking. I think that's a reasonable request for any league that's going to have 40 plus potential starters. I mean, let's all have a good time. All 40 of us have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So on the road side of things, the road track for the Oval Series, it's within the first lap. And I had to change the verbiage on this because we don't throw cautions. The only cautions we throw in the road side of things is going to be the competition caution. But it's going to be any car-to-car 4X. So if you burn turn 1 going down into Watkins Glen, burn turn 1, and you beat the crap out of somebody going into it, that's going to cause a pit lane start for the next race. So again, we're just trying to make it so the first lap, we're getting through these corners, we're giving everybody an opportunity to get into the race and run some laps and not get taken out in that first corner or up the chute. So again, this is something, JT, I know on the road side, I think I've seen your name a couple times in some of these penalties.
Not
this
often.
is something.
I don't know why you're acting like that.
What I'm saying is, this is going to be something you're probably going to see my name on there a couple times. I know for sure. It's. I'm sure a lot of our drivers are going to end up on this at least once. And again, I'm probably going to be one of those drivers too. So it's probably going to be a league-wide thing until everybody gets used to it and knows that they can't push the envelope going into turn 1 at Watkins Glen, or trying to take the lead in the bus stop and push it too wide and cause a pile up, or at Phoenix trying to take the lead and wreck Dustin. So
yeah, I mean some of these rules, honestly, so everybody knows, we kind of adapted them from our road series. We've been doing these for quite a while. I know Jason Phillips is in the chat on the stream right now, but I think he can attest that, when we implemented the lap 1 rule in our road series, it really turned it around. I mean, you don't want to compromise your hour-long race, and I'm talking road series because we run an hour, on the opening lap, and potentially, ruin somebody else's night as well. So, all these rule changes were, again, to promote clean racing and let the races develop on their own. We race the same guys pretty much every single week. So, the more respect, I think, and the more give you show your fellow competitors as a clean driver, the more you're going to be an asset, and people will see that. They'll know you're a clean driver. That's not to say you're not going to go for, a move, if you have the speed or you have, fresh tires. That's not to say, you're a pushover. It's just promoting the clean racing when you race people every single week really shows. And you have to remember, this is a league. This isn't just an open session. So that's really what we're trying to do. And once we still, change that in the road side, it was like night and day. And it's just worked so well that, we really thought through, like, how can we adapt something like that, over to our oval series. It's going to happen. Things are going to happen. We're not saying there'll never be a wreck and a caution and whatever else. That's just part of it. But helping, I guess, drivers realize the implications of, maybe some more boneheaded moves.
Yeah.
Will help clean it up, and it'll be a lot more fun when we're not pacing so much.
So much more fun racing.
Yep, that's what we're here to do. And however we need to send that message is what we're going to do. We never claim to be perfect here, but again, if we don't try new things to see what works and what doesn't, then we'll be no better than what we were in seasons prior. So everybody just keep an open mind, and we'll see how this goes. I think it's going to work well, and it'll clean things up and make things more enjoyable for everybody involved, whether they're spectators or participants. So,
yep. So comes some of the last changes here. So as it was discussed in the chat, we went away from the chase. So we no longer have the chase format. We're just doing a straight up points run to the end. Person with most points at the end of the season is champion. We did add bonus points. So whoever leads the most lap is getting 2 points, 2 bonus points for the race. We still have the traditional no incidents gets 5 points, pole gets a point, lap led gets a point. So leading a lap gets you a point, leading the most lap gets you 2. And completing the race. This is one thing we want to see more people do is stick it out, start to finish. I know if you get a beat up car, as long as you don't disconnect from the server, you're getting the 10 points for completing the race. We want to see these lobbies retain people. We don't want people jumping in, jumping out. You get into one accident, your race is ruined. Use your fast repair, run some laps. Or you hit the wall, break a toe link, hit the wall, crush something on your truck. Take those 3 or 4 minutes of damage repair, run some laps, log some laps. Who knows? Somebody might get into a worse accident, and you might get another position. That's the hope in real racing. So if you can still run it, run it.
Yeah, not only that. Get this heat time. Run your own race. The more laps, whether you're 3 laps down running, no man's land by yourself. The more you learn the car and how it reacts differently on, new tires, worn tires, a new set of rights, that all just adds to the experience and finishing the race, will help. It's never really over, but you're going to gain that experience and everything else.
Yep. So for anybody that's looked at the schedule, you might notice there's a couple gaps in there. So since we're doing a summer schedule, we're doing kind of a shorter schedule for the summer. A lot of people have things they want to do. Summer nights, some weekends. So what we're doing is we're running, I believe the first couple weeks we're running 3 races, then we have an off week, another 3 races off week, and then I believe 4 races off week, and then 3 to finish. Or is it 2 to finish?
Oh, that's correct. 3 to finish.
Okay. So we're gonna have an off week, kind of splitting these things up. So again, it's summertime. People have things they want to do or want to make plans and such. And you can bet some of these off weeks, we've been pretty good about throwing up these fun runs. So we'll throw up some fun runs, and I'm sure it'll be practice sessions for races and such. So it's not like it's going to be a completely dead weekend, but we'll at least take a week off from the league racing 3 times during this season. So with the shorter schedule, this is a great time for us to experiment with these kind of rule changes and see what works, what doesn't, what we can carry on to our longer winter season, which is where you're going to see the longer schedule. But again, if you guys can, just take these changes, try them, see how they work and everything. And whenever we release our poll for the winter series, I'll make sure I look over it this time and make sure there's a good spot for you guys to put your comments in there. And let us know what you thought of the changes, what stuck and what didn't.
Gotta try new things.
Exactly. We got if you don't progress, you either regress or you just sit. So we gotta try and do what we can to make our racing better, to keep you guys entertained and to bring on new prospects and entertain them.
I see 10 ovals and 2 road courses to crown a champion for the Oval Series, the Trucks, and the Cup. Friday nights and Sunday nights, man, I'm ready for Friday night. On the duels, I see there are 30 laps starting this weekend for the Trucks. Is there a competition caution for the 30-lap duel, or is it just straight up?
Just straight up. The duel's just going to be a straight up race. There won't be any competition caution in the duel, but for the Daytona race there will be competition cautions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great, man. I'm so excited. Also, want to remind everybody one more time that the Fun Facts Forum is going to be live starting tonight. I'll make another announcement either later tonight or first thing in the morning, and you can help me have something to talk about and brag about you guys individually while we're spotlighting you on the stream. So look for the Fun Facts Forum. It's a brief 5 or 10 question forum where you can learn a little bit about you, and something I'll be able to talk about during different times of the streams. So keep your eye out for the Fun Facts Forum. Our veterans are going to know about it. They've seen it before. This one's all new and improved, so the old ones are out of the running and the new ones. So even if you fill out the old ones, I'm going to need you to fill out a new one if you want us to focus on you during the stream. And that's all I got, man. It's been a great show. Thanks, guys.
Hey, wait,
Yeah.
real quick. Have we done anything different post race for our ovals, James?
Yes, Justin. Thanks for reminding me. We are going to interview more than just the winner now. We're going to try to bring up the top 3. So there are procedures that are written in the Discord. I believe you had was it an announcement or a pinned message, Justin? I'm looking for it now.
There's a channel in
Its own thread.
under information. It's called post race interview. So those are the instructions on what to do.
There it is. So the information tab of the Discord, post race interviews. It's like the 3rd or 4th one down. It's got it step by step. Just join the race chatter in your individual series, whether it's Truck or Cup. After the race, hopefully Josh will be able to remind you. Race control will be able to remind you on the stream before the race is over. The top 3 go to race chatter, and I'll pull you up, and you get to talk for a couple of minutes after the race about how your race went. And I'm looking forward to hearing from the top 3 drivers instead of just the winner this season. So that's going to extend this stream a couple of minutes, but I'm happy to do it, and especially if it gets you some bragging rights to your friends and family and point them to our stream and maybe get some more members, maybe your iRacing buddies, brag on your social medias, your Instagrams or Facebooks to tag us and listen to you brag about how you beat everybody out there on the oval in your sim racing and your hobby. So, looking forward to doing the top 3 interviews. Thanks for reminding me, Justin.
Yeah. Before we close, any member out there, double check the rule book, midwest-motorsports.com. Under the information tab, you'll see a drop down season 7 rules, trucks, and cup. Just make sure you read over that and you understand everything. Really feel like we're pretty simple and straightforward. But as a driver, you do need to understand the rules and the implications of breaking any rules, and whether it be racing or voice chat and things like that. So remember, race hard, race clean, and just show respect to all members within the league.
Hey, real quick, JT, are you running trucks again this season too?
I am.
Have you looked at both schedules?
Why?
Is there a track you have circled you want to really run this season?
Well, I'm a little upset that Auto Club isn't on there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Indy would have been a lot cooler if it was the road course. I always like Bristol.
Keep looking at Sonoma.
There. Yeah, Sonoma's, it's all right. I never run great at Charlotte. On the Cup side, trucks, it's probably about the same, really. I'll run wherever, man. It don't matter. It's racing. I enjoy it. I have fun. So
all of them,
every single one of them.
How about you, Ant? What do you got your eyeballs on?
Well, I got to redeem myself at Watkins Glen, so I have that one circled.
You wouldn't be bad, man. You were winning, bro. Just one bad bus stop is all it took, but that was great, Ant.
Sonoma, I got to redeem myself and give Huffman a good run. Indy, I haven't ran Indy in the new car. I want to see that. And Rockingham. I am interested in seeing how the Cup car runs at Rockingham. So
I don't know. Somebody wanted to run Rockingham at night, and they don't even have lights there. So,
well, if they upload the Garage 56 car, that would fix that, wouldn't it? Well, yeah, that's about all I got tonight, guys. Everybody else good for the night?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm great, man.
Yeah, this is a pretty long episode. Had some technical difficulties while we worked through them, and we just had a lot to cover. There's a lot of changes that we made that we want to really discuss, and I'm really hoping it goes through. I mean, I just want everybody to know, we've grown so much year after year. Guys come and go through the league, and it happens, right? So, but the core group of drivers that we've had that have stuck with us through multiple seasons, I mean, any of them can probably attest that we really do try and make all the changes for the better, and make it easy for everybody. So really looking forward to this season. I think a lot of changes are going to be fun. I personally like the no stages. Let the most consistent finisher and those guys who continually maybe not, are getting wins, but they're always, up near the front, let them start compiling points, and we'll see how patience pays off for a lot of drivers as well. I'm
excited about the no chase. I think that's going to keep a lot of guys coming all the way to the very end, knowing that they have something to fight for. And I think there's going to be some close battles, whether it's the top and the middle or even the bottom. Mm-hmm. I think there's going to be a reason to show up and race every week.
Yeah, we have a lot of drivers. Participation is key. we do rely on our members being committed. We know things happen and stuff. You can't make every race, and that's fine. But as long as you participate within the 4-week participation rule, then it'll be good. But yeah, man, we got a lot of drivers signed up for this season, so I'm really excited and hoping if you don't fare well in the first couple weeks, it's no reason to quit or give up. So just take the time and get the seat time and experience and just stick around.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to wrap it for this week's Cooldown Lap podcast. So we're going to call it here tonight, and we'll see you guys out here next week. If not, we'll put up a message and let you know. But our plan is to be here next Monday. So y'all have a great night.
Stay in your lane.